Welcome to Pint-Sized Paints. What I've got here is another little figure that I've picked up from my local hobby shop. It is it's a goblin, looks like it, little doofus guy. I liked him, thought he was adorable, so I picked him right up. And yeah, let's just jump right in there. So we're gonna prime him, and I'm gonna use a gray primer, just a flat gray primer that you can get at your stationery store or department stores. So let's go do that and we'll be right back. And here he is primed. Like I said, I just primed him in a gray, just a flat matte gray. Any old primer will do. Using Army Painter or Citadel primers are probably going to be your best bet, but we don't have access to that right now. So we are just going to use a regular old gray primer. Now, the first thing we're going to do is go from the bottom up, the bottom layer, his skin first. And what we're going to do for that is we're going to mix two colors together. I like to keep my goblins kind of like a darker skin tone, darker green. So we're going to use Castellan Green and Orruk Flesh. And we're going to mix equal parts of those together. 1 part Castellan Green, 1 part Orruk Flesh. And what you get is this, let's load up a brush here, I'll show you. You get this dark pale green that is perfect for what I think goblin flesh should look like. I just like to keep them a darker skin tone. I think they look more menacing that way. Even this doofus. But we're just gonna go all over. Don't forget his arms over here and his legs down here. Again, this is just a miniature I've picked up at my local hobby shop. But these techniques, with my thumb in the way the whole time, but these techniques will work with any kind of goblin flesh, of any flesh you want green, really. But we're just gonna go over the whole model. No need to be careful or anything. You can paint over stuff. See, I just paint over his belt right there. As a matter of fact, it's probably better if you do. Just look more natural that way. So yeah, go around the whole model and we're gonna paint it all green. Here he is with that skin tone done, that green skin done. And some of those places, like on his belly there, I had to go over it with two more coats on his back and the top of his head too. Just those flatter areas that seem to show the primer through. So the next color we're gonna do is his gloves, his boots, and his belt. And I'm gonna do it all in the same color. And we're gonna do it in Doombull Brown. And usually I use Doombull Brown as a highlight, maybe of like a dryad bark or a rhinox hide. But I think this will look better as a full, like, reddish kind of leather. Sorry for shaking them there. I have switched down to my size 4-0 brush. Right here, golden maple 4-0. And I'm gonna get his belt first. I think that's just gonna be the hardest. So again, you don't have to be careful going over the stuff that you've not painted yet. You just want to be careful around the stuff that you have painted. So obviously that's just his skin right now. Everything else is obviously still primed. But you just want to go around the whole model here and get right up to that skin, or it's not going to look correct. There we go. And then you want to do his gloves and his boots. So we'll come up here and we'll do his gloves. Yep. And then we will also get his boots. And the reason I'm doing this all in the same color is because I don't know where I heard it from, but it stuck with me. Oh, you also want to get his straps up here and just lightly run across those. Just put some paint on the straps. And I just noticed that he has a nipple ring. What a badass. So we're going to paint those, and his straps on the back there, don't forget those. But what was I saying? I don't know. I forgot. I guess we'll have to look back and see what I was saying. That's why we film. But yeah, you just want to go around and get all the Doombull Brown on his leather areas. Oh yes, that's what I was saying. The technique. So I heard on a painting video. I forgot. I'd give him credit. I don't know. I don't know who it was, but use kind of like a triangle method. And so we have this, 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 and then back, and then we have some up there. But you kind of want to make a triangle somewhere with 3 colors. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here. And let's go around the whole model, and we will paint everything leather and Doombull Brown. And we'll be back. Here he is with that skin tone done, that green skin done. And some of those places, like on his belly there, I had to go over it with two more coats on his back and the top of his head too. Just those flatter areas that seem to show the primer through. So the next color we're going to do is his gloves, his boots, and his belt. And I'm going to do it all in the same color. And we're going to do it in Doombull Brown. And usually I use Doombull Brown as a highlight, maybe of like a dryad bark or a rhinox hide. But I think this will look better as a full, like, reddish kind of leather. Sorry for shaking them there. I have switched down to my size 4-0 brush. Right here, golden maple 4-0. And I'm going to get his belt first. I think that's just going to be the hardest. So again, you don't have to be careful going over the stuff that you've not painted yet. You just want to be careful around the stuff that you have painted. So obviously that's just his skin right now. Everything else is obviously still primed. But you just want to go around the whole model here and get right up to that skin, or it's not going to look correct. There we go. And then you want to do his gloves and his boots. So we'll come up here and we'll do his gloves. Yep. And then we will also get his boots. And the reason I'm doing this all in the same color is because I don't know where I heard it from, but it stuck with me. Oh, you also want to get his straps up here and just lightly run across those. Just put some paint on the straps. And I just noticed that he has a nipple ring. What a badass. So we're going to paint those, and his straps on the back there, don't forget those. But what was I saying? I don't know. I forgot. I guess we'll have to look back and see what I was saying. That's why we film. But yeah, you just want to go around and get all the Doombull Brown on his leather areas. Oh yes, that's what I was saying. The technique. So I heard on a painting video, I forgot. I'd give him credit. I don't know who it was, but use kind of like a triangle method. And so we have this, 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 and then back, and then we have some up there. But you kind of want to make a triangle somewhere with 3 colors. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here. And let's go around the whole model, and we will paint everything leather and Doombull Brown. And we'll be back. There he is with the Doombull Brown on there for his leather. As you can see, I've made quite a mess up there under his neck, but we'll clean it up on the cleanup stage. Next, we are going to go to his cloth, his loincloth. And I think for that, I'm going to use Ushabti Bone. So I think it's a good cloth color when it's shaded. It was either that or it was Wraith Bone, and I've used Wraith Bone so many times for cloth I can't count. And I think I just want to change up something a little here. And I like Ushabti Bone because it does have that nice bright kind of cloth color when it's shaded, especially with something like an Agrax Earthsahde. Now I'm usually I might use Ushabti Bone as a step up, a highlight, maybe with from Xandri Dust, but I think that would look more like bone, like ivory bone, and I want it to look more of like a fabric. Let's see if I can get him back there in focus. There we go. So we're just gonna go, and don't forget about his little cloth back here on his butt. I want to get that too. And we will do that and be back. There he is with that Ushabti Bone for the cloth. And I did about 3 coats of that. 2.5, really. Some flatter areas needed it and some didn't. So I would say three thin coats for that would be good. The next color we are going to do is we are going to do the handle of his sword there, and it's not going to take too much, so we are just going to use Steel Legion Drab for that. I think it's just a clothy, leathery, light color. I've got it thinned down on my palette a little bit, and I've got my size 40 brush just because it's the very delicate places to get in there under his glove there. And we're just going to go all around the handle, the grip of his sword, and fill it in with Steel Legion Drab now, which I think I just did. Yep, you witnessed it, people. The whole handle done already. What an amazing man. All right, we'll be back with the next color. The next color we are going to use is going to be Leadbelcher, and that's going to be for all the metallic and steel and iron parts, such as his scimitar there. There's got a little shoulder piece and his belt buckle. And first, I'm going to be using my size 1 brush, and we're going to get the bigger areas like his sword and his shoulder pad with this, and then I'm probably going to switch down to my size 40 to get the belt buckle, and I'll show you the technique I'll use with that. It's kind of like edge highlighting in a way, but let's get that on there, and I will show you right now what I'm going to do about his belt buckle. Got my sized 40 brush, Dip it in the paint here, and what we're going to do is we're going to load up the brush. You can turn them sideways, like this, and just brace your hand, and gently as can be, run it across the belt buckle. And if you make a mess, that's okay. That's what the cleanup stage is for. So don't be too worried about it. But you just want to get that belt buckle filled in with this Leadbelcher. I see I made a little mess right there. We'll come back and fix that though. And of course you want to get up here on his shoulder plate. Like so. All right, we'll do that and we will be back. There's all the metal and metallic parts done, or the silver metallic parts done. Next, we are going to do his jewelry, his earrings and nipple ring, fun stuff. And we're going to do that in, oh, I put it back up. Yes, we're going to do that in fulgurite copper. And I like this color. It's obviously a coppery gold, but I figured he wouldn't have like full-on gold yet. He looks like maybe a lower ranked goblin here. He's not the greenest goblin in the horde, but he is going to have some adornment because goblins like shiny things. So we're gonna do his earrings and his rings in fulgurite copper. And I think that'll pop on the table pretty well. And let's get this one done. And we should be good. I think there's another one right here. Yep. So let's get this done. And I can do the rest of this on camera here, I guess. We're almost done anyway. That works. There we go. Let's put a little more color over here. Yeah, that'll do. All right, we'll be back with the next color. All right, there's his jewelry done. And the next color we are going to use is actually a color we've already used, and that's Ushabti Bone. So I've got some on here on my palette already, and this is going to be for his teeth sticking out right there. His little overbite. And we're just going to load a little bit up on the brush. I'm using my size 4-0. We're going to turn them up a little bit here. Uh-oh, there's the hair. Got it. And we are just going to gently just fill in all his teeth that are visible, obviously. Can't fill in teeth that aren't visible. And that looks okay. And yeah, we'll be back with the next color. So his teeth are done, and I think the last thing that we have to do is his eyes. And for that, I am going to use Averland Sunset. And I've always just pictured goblin eyes with like a real bright milky yellow with like maybe no iris or maybe like a pinpricked pupil. But we're gonna make his eyes just bright yellow, and we're gonna take some of that off. And I've got my size 4-0, and we're just gonna try to just, yep, made a little mess there. Hey, that's okay. Come over here and just dab it in. Alrighty, I think that is good enough. We'll have to come back and clean up. But he is done with his base coats. Let's move on to the cleanup stage. All right, there's his eyes and his cleanup done. again, I'll say it once. I've said it once, I'll say it again. The cleanup stage is the most important stage, and I think I missed a little bit right there, speaking of cleanup. So let me go back and do that right now. Real quick and simple. Boom. Done. But yeah, the cleanup stage, I think, is the most important stage. To me, it's the most boring stage. But it is the most important stage, in my opinion, because it just, if you don't clean it up, you definitely can see the mistakes that you've made clearer. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to shade it. And for that, I am using a mixture of Agrax Earthsahde and Lahmian Medium. And like I said, you always want to thin down your shades, to me. And depending on how dirty looking you want it is how much you want to thin it down. This guy I want fairly dirty. So what I've done here is 3 parts Lahmian Medium and 2 parts Agrax. It's still quite dark, it's quite Agraxy, but it will flow a little better. Yeah, this is gonna be dark, but that's okay. That's what we want. I want him to be dirty and grimy. He's a goblin, and hell, I think 1 brush full will do this tiny little guy. Maybe. We'll see. Might have to get another brush full, but that's okay. Yeah, there we go. And when you're doing this, you don't want to just let it sit. See how it's pooling on his chest there, under his chin? You want to dry your brush and just wipe that away. And maybe distribute it somewhere else. Again, there's right there's pooling, right there's pooling on the blade. It's pooling a little there. You just don't want it to pool too much. It will obscure the details. But you do want it to run into those recesses. And that was a big thing for me. That's something I had to learn, was to not just wash it and let it sit, but to put the wash on and then move the wash around and clean it up a little bit. So, yeah. You don't want it to pool heavily on flat surfaces. See his head there is pooling. But you do, again, want to get it in those recesses pretty well. And I think that is going to do it now. I'll keep an eye on him, but I will sit him somewhere dry, and I will leave him for about 30 to 45 minutes. You always want to make sure that when you wash a mini, you don't want to go back and start painting him too early, or her too early, or them too early. Who knows? But yeah, you don't want to go back. It'll lift the pigment off, and it'll just look awful. So you want to leave him for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then we'll come back to him and we'll start adding the highlights. Here he is with his skin done. As you can see, it really brings out the definition more. Especially around his muscles and stuff like that. I'm not going to do too much more highlighting on this guy, but I did want to highlight and bring back the shininess of his jewelry. So what we're going to do here is I've got more of the fulgurite copper on my palette, and I am just going to go back over those rings and nipple rings and earrings in fulgurite copper again. And you just want to just catch just the edges there. It's not really going to matter too much. You just want to brighten them back up because that wash has darkened the shininess of them down. And I kind of wanted the jewelry to be real shiny, like, you know, goblins like real shiny jewelry. So they clean it a lot, I'm guessing. But everything else I wanted to keep a little dirty. And I think the Doombull Brown did a really good job when it was washed, having like that leather kind of color to it. You can see that. And I think that is all I'm going to do on this guy. So I'm going to go and I'm going to paint his base. And I will pop a matte varnish on him. And I will tell you what varnish I'll use in the next part of the video. So yeah, here he is. He's pretty much done. And I'm just going to get that varnish on him and get the base done. And I'll be back. Here he is done with that matte varnish on him and his base done almost. I got to put the wash on the base, but you get it. Yeah, he's looking okay. If you had a horde of these guys, it wouldn't take too long at all to paint them. Probably the longest part was going to be letting the wash dry. So, but yeah, he's done. I think he looks pretty good, and we will see you next time.